சரிங்க. evening, everybody, and welcome to Checkered Flag e-streaming. We are here tonight for the Lucas Oil's Aussie Outlaws series, and we are here at Atlanta. It is the Everything Simulated Atlanta 400 here tonight for round 2 of the season. I'm Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you up here in the booth tonight, and I'm joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate, and good to be here again tonight for round 2. We seen round 1 a very exciting race, and well, I dare say we're going to have another one tonight here at Atlanta.
Absolutely, off to Hotlanta, Georgia, and the very, very fast Atlanta Speedway. We are looking at a very, very fun track, 2.5 kilometers in length. Gives us a very, very fast racing surface. The cars are going to be pretty much flat out here. These Cup cars will be pretty much foot to the floor throughout the whole of their stint. Lots of pack racing going on. Pretty warm conditions out there tonight as well, as it always is at Atlanta, Mark. So expect drivers to start to struggle a bit here.
Yeah, it's typical a warm one as we see the weather conditions come up now. Air temp 31, track temp a mighty 39 degrees Celsius. So that's going to be very hard on the tyres tonight.
Absolutely, and it is going to really favour those drivers that can get a good setup for tonight's race. If they can get that setup right, they are going to be sitting pretty, you've got to say. Let's run through the starting pack for tonight and taking pole position. Carl Needler taking pole just ahead of our American contingent, Russell Bratka. They line up on row number 1. Row number 2, we have Jamie Nankervis and Mark Smith next to each other. It's Wayne Van Billion and Martin Pedersen up on row number 3. Row number 4, we have Paul Drady with Luke Georgeson. Row number 5, Luke Yeager and Jason Nicholas. Row 6, Adam Tice and Jared Williams. Row 7, we've got Caden Dew and Tom Williams. Row number 8, Matthew Bale and Norman Clark. Philip Butler and Justin Allen make up our 9th row. It's a DPR lockout on row 10. It's Ryan Jones and Andrew Dyson. Ruben Phelps is next to Stevie Dubb on row number 11. It's Brian Mesa and Maddie Ray on row number 12. Maddie Hunter and Noddy Tompkins make up the 13th row. And Maxie Marshall will be lining up at the back. 27th car out there tonight on row number 14. So it's going to be a tricky race out there, Mark. Atlanta pack racing is an important bit. It can be tricky out there as well. This track is a place that can really catch you out. Just a tiniest little mistake, and you can find yourself in a very ugly position.
Yeah, well, there's also those magnets on the outside of turn 3 and 4 that just seem to appear out of nowhere through the night. So keep an eye out there for the cars getting really loose through 3 and 4. We've seen in the real world that the cars' rear ends just break loose on them for no reason. Last weekend at Atlanta, a little bit different. iRacing doesn't have lights, so we won't be going into a night race. But so it's going to stay warm all race, and those tyres are really going to take a beating.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually racing here in the week in an Xfinity car, and it just snapped loose for absolutely no reason, and just absolutely caught me off in just out of nowhere. And expect to see that tonight as well. It's a really tricky place, and look, when you get an accident here as well, it is always a big accident. The other thing as well is it's a quad oval tonight, so it's not your traditional tri-oval. It's not like a triangle. It's got a little bit of a straight between the two separate corners off the start line, and that can cause huge problems because you get people caught up on the high side, and it gets very, very tight as you're going across that oval section. So expect to see a few problems there throughout the night, especially as they start to get some cars falling off the pack, start falling down the lap. That can really catch a lot of people out, and that's where we're going to see probably the most cautions appearing, I would say, tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And the fuel range tonight, Carl, about, what was it, 63 laps, 65 laps? So be looking to get these guys in, and then a quick change tyres, and off they go.
Absolutely. The green flag is out, and we are go for the Everything Simulated 400 here at Atlanta. And it's Carl Needler leading away on the low line. And it's now time to form everybody up. It's a very small super speedway here at Atlanta, Mark, and it really will be tricky just to get the cars in formation at first. Get yourself comfortable. From personal experience recently, the midline is probably where you want to be. Somebody just had a big moment in the background, and I think that was just trying to find out who that was. It looks like one of the Valve. Oh, it was Justin Allen. Justin Allen there giving the wall a bit of a bump in the VSK entry. Already a couple of people getting so close up to the wall as one of the Quantum cars as well. Philip Butler just gives that wall a little rub already. A few people finding the wall in these early stages.
Yeah, we've seen also there the Russell Bracker, our American driver, get down low. Ryan Jones making his move forward, now up into 17th from his starting spot. So those DPR guys are trying to move forward quickly.
Yeah, they'll try and link up, start working with each other, see what they can get working in this race. And look, teammates are vital on a track like this. It's crucial to have them with you because they can be a real help as you get into a bit of a pack formation. We're seeing the cars sitting low at the moment. They're taking the low line up at the front. We've got very single file formation at the moment up in the lead, but further back in the pack, it is a little bit everywhere. There's lots of racing going on. We've even got some free wide action as Philip Butler goes down the middle, and Ryan Jones as well, taking it free wide in the early stages here at Atlanta.
Just like the real world last week, we've seen very brave men there. I don't know if we'll see the full wide racing here tonight, but it'll be interesting to see if we do, because these guys are some of the best in Australia. We've got Dyson out there, we've got Williams, Matty Ray, the Daytona 500 winner last week. So they will be looking at really pushing their weight home. And as we can see, Dyson here really giving Jason Nichols a hurry up along the tri-oval.
Yeah, well, they've fallen off the back of the lead pack here as, who was that up in the wall in the lead pack? Just up at the front, Adam Tice just gave the wall a big lick, and that's checked up these front runners a little bit. That's going to help the rest of the field catch up. But yeah, it's so easy to sort of get yourself in fall off the pack here and sort of start dropping down the order a little bit. You need to make sure you're running behind the car in front, getting some good draft action here, because it is easy to start to drop back when everybody's running in single file. And at the moment, that lead pack is doing that while everybody else is battling side by side, losing a little bit of pace and losing a little bit of time to the front of the field.
Yeah, definitely not the way that they want to be running at the moment. So we'll just have to wait and see how we go.
Just jumping back to Adam Tice here, it will be a big lead, big group of cars battling it out there, and they are in a really fun position. Sort of free wide for a couple of moments there, and Andrew Dyson siving his way through the field, up 9 positions so far. So moving up the pack very, very quickly. Russell Bracker's had to bring it into the lane. What has happened there for the 84, I wonder? Can't see any major damage, but unfortunately, I think Russell Bracker's having to bring it in, and that could be a little bit... could be a retirement early there for him. Brian Mazzara as well, down a lap to one of our other American drivers. So it's not been the easiest opening stint for those guys.
No, definitely not. And I do apologise. Some of the overlays are playing up. I'm just trying to get some some stuff happening and it's opening up in the wrong screen for me, so I do apologise. I will fix that as we go. So sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
So, up at the front, Carl Needler up in the lead. This main pack has got a huge advantage over the rest. They've got about 6 seconds over Adam Tice, and that pack is fighting hard still, side by side, racing in pack style, and they are racing each other hard, which is forcing them to drop off the leaders. So this could be absolutely crucial if this race gets a nice long green period here, because this secondary pack that's a little bit further down the track could be falling into well, a bit off the lead here, and if they go too far back, they might find themselves getting lapped at some stage.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want to be going a lap down this early on lap 12. 261 it is, it's not 260, so I do apologise again. A few little bugs are in the system.
So just jumping back to that second pack, the DPR cars have linked themselves up and are now trying to work their way towards the front. Meanwhile, it's still Carl Needler up in the lead at the moment. He's got Nankervis and Van Billion just behind him. Mark Smith, Paul Drady, Luke Yeager, Martin Pedersen, and Luke Georgeson with Hayden Dew. That's the lead pack at the moment. That's our top 9 cars in this lead group, breaking away from the rest of the pack at the moment. But we have got them starting to try and work their way back up towards the front a little bit further down. We've got Ryan Jones leading the charge with Dyson and Williams. The 3 teammates have broken away. There's a bit of a bad rub there from Dyson. Just cuts Jones loose. Just saves that one. Just as we cut to it, that car was going very sideways, and that's something you've got to be so cautious of here at Atlanta. When you're bump drafting, when you're getting so close to each other like that, it is so easy just to hit the wrong spot and send that car ahead of you into a sideways spin.
I can tell you also, Carl, Russell Bractor is back out on pits, but he's just come up and it looks like he may have had a crash. We'll go back and see if we can find that. Just on the replay here now. It's coming out of pit lane.
I think it's just exiting pit lane, so I think it's just pulled it up for that. So
as we see those the DPR cars closing in on him in the background there, it doesn't seem like anything's really happened. So we'll go back to our live stream. If I can get it to work.
I think it was just exiting pit lane. So obviously some kind of technical issue for Bracker, unfortunately. Struggling out there tonight. A shame, because we saw a strong run in the 500 last time out. And that's always a frustrating thing, especially when you consider the time over there as well. So not the start to the race that they would have wanted tonight. Up the front, they are pretty content to be running single file, it's got to be said, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing for the pace. They are still getting some good speed out there, but they are being closed down on by the group behind them. That is Jones, Dyson, Williams, Phelps, and Nicholas. So there is a pack now trying to close in on the front and get themselves linked up with this group as we continue on here at Atlanta on lap number 20 here of 260. And well, plenty of action still to come. We've had a couple of close calls so far, Mark, but no major incidents just as of yet.
And we can see just in front of this lead group, someone is about to go a lap down, and I do believe it may be Noddy Tompkins. No, it's Matty.
No, it's Noddy Tompkins.
Noddy Tompkins, yes.
Yep.
Noddy's still running the old paint by the look of it, so he hasn't got the latest updated paints for SRM, but I'm quite sure Matty Ray will have that fixed in the next week or two. And Noddy's done the right thing there, Carl. He's stayed up on the high line, let these guys have a good clear run through.
Yeah, he's kept himself in a good position. Brian Mazur is going to be next up to go down a second lap here tonight. It's not the start of the race that he would have wanted at all, as that pack's closing in, and you could see the difference as Noddy was just getting past there. That the speed difference to a car out on its own to a car in the pack is immense.
Yeah, it definitely is. And unfortunately for Brian Massa, he missed the 500 last week, so he'd be trying to find some good speed here tonight and get some good points. But nevertheless, if he goes a lap down and we have a caution, he will be the first car a lap down, so he will get the lucky dog. But we've seen last week it was late in the race when the first caution come out in the 500, so I would expect the same here. And unfortunately, one of the Valve Esports cars is there, the 96 of Jared Williams. Yeah, Jared's. I'm pretty sure Jared is a rookie to the season, to the ovals he's come across this year from circuit racing. So be interesting to see how he goes tonight.
I wonder if he just missed out on getting on the back of the pack at the start, and we saw that last time as well at Daytona. It's so easy to. Ooh, I think there was a bit of a chop down there, maybe a bit of contact with Noddy Tompkins. I think he got the all clear, went to go down, and then found the 80 of Noddy Tompkins there. They just saved themselves from having a big moment there. But I wonder if he's just missed out on catching to the back of the pack again, and that's why he's fallen down a lap so early. So easy to do when you're changing to oval racing, especially when you're in these draft races. It's so easy to miss out on the draft, miss out on the pack, and you find yourself just going so slow. It can be very frustrating, but it is a very easy mistake to make, especially as you're just starting to get used to these things.
Yeah, definitely. Just further back, and we're looking at Hayden Drew there, first time runner with the Aussie Outlaws tonight. So good to see a heap of new faces in the league, mate, and having a pretty reasonable run there by himself in 14th at the moment. In 15th, it's our old calling and spar partner, Matty Hunter. He's there with Matthew Raymond, Maxi Marshall and Adam Tiris.
Yeah, it's good to see some new faces out on the track. Always nice to have some fresh blood coming out and some new racing on the track as well. And it's what we need sometimes, we always need some new faces coming in. Because that's what helps improve the racing, and the more the merrier, of course. But always good to see some new faces popping up into these races, and they are tough races as well. Of course, open setup this season, so it does mean a little bit more involvement. You need to sort of know a little bit of how to set the car up, how to get the car working, and also what to do in the pit stops as well. And that can always be a tricky part of oval racing, because there's so much time that you can gain by just putting a little bit of extra pressure into one of the tires, or into the left front and the right rear, or vice versa. It can loosen the car up, it can tighten the car up depending on how you want it to run, and that can give you such an advantage. You're going to see it more on some of the classic tracks, some of the 1.5 mile ovals sort of things, some of the tracks where you're not necessarily flat out constantly. That's where it really comes in with setup work. So it'll be interesting to see who can get that absolutely perfect and right.
Yeah, on screen right at the moment, also for Mad Dog Racing, the 018 of Matthew Bale. He's also a rookie. I know he was handing Mr. Hoppert to to try and get him in for last week. But unfortunately, we've got a rule here that if you don't get your nomination in before Thursday night, you don't race that weekend. It just makes it a little bit easier on the admin team, and so they can get everything set up for the race and nice and neatly. But that black and blue there car of Matthew Bale is looking good too.
Absolutely, leading that little group of cars at the moment, with Tom Williams, Philip Butler, Justin Allen, Norman Clark in that little group. Meanwhile, up the front, the rest, a bit more of the pack has caught up. So we have now got a rather long string of cars up in the lead of the race. 13 cars in total up in this lead pack now. Those DPR cars working very hard to push their way all the way to the front. They've done a very good job of getting there, and now they're going to try and get that little bit higher too. I can see Ryan Jones give the wall a little nibble, and that's dropped him off the back of that little group. Meanwhile, Jamie Curvis looking to get a run up for the lead of the race.
Yeah,
And I think he's seen those DPR cars coming, jumped up high to just get involved in that line, as Dyson decides he does not want to do that. He's going to take it 3 wide here, takes the Highliners. There's a wreck happening in the background, and we are going to get our first caution of the night. One of the Quantum cars, it's Luke Georgeson, just getting caught by the 79 by Martin Pedersen. Just a little bit of contact. Martin Pedersen just caught him, and then we had a bit of a dominoes effect as the 51 got involved in that. Brian Mazzara, unfortunately, he's just got caught in that one, as well as Jason Nichols and Ryan Jones. So quite a few cars caught up in that incident.
Unfortunately, it hasn't come up with this may be it here, so we'll keep an eye on these cars. It's got Maxie Marshall involved, Stevie Williams, but
that's after I think that's a bit too far back. So we've got pit stops at the moment. Let's see. There we go. I think this is going to be closer to it. It should be just a little bit further along. So yeah, it looked like Martin Pedersen just went up a little bit and just caught the back of Luke Georgeson. And that caused the incident. There you go. That's the incident just there. And that has brought out our first caution. We've got a lot of cars in pit lane come in for a quick service, some tyres and some fuel. Of course, unlike other sort of restrictory plate super speedway style races, Atlanta, you definitely want to have tyres on the car. This place does chew them up pretty quickly.
So just to explain about the top 4, I've worked out what it's actually doing. If I change camera view, it's picking up the 4 cars in behind the car that's the camera's on. So I do apologise for that. It's something that we'll have to take back to our overlay man and see if he can fix. So at least now we know what it's actually doing. So I do apologise for that. We will try and rectify that over the next couple of weeks. But it's pretty, pretty dangerous here now. Andrew Dyson up in the P1. Jamie Nankervis on the outside. Dyson is a very good starter of these races, so expect to see a nice quick jump from him.
Yeah, he's got Stevie Dubb right behind him as well, so a bit of support. You've got Ruben Phelps up there too, but you know, Atlanta, not a place you necessarily want to get that jump mark, because if you do that, you're just going to leave yourself open to somebody drafting up behind you and having a monster run.
Yeah, definitely right there, Carl. And also on the jump, you're normally on that low line, and there's those little bumps that we haven't spoken about coming out of turn 2. So hopefully he doesn't get caught out by that. But Dyson, very experienced driver. You'll probably find he gets a jump and just comes back up to mid-track.
We'll see what he does in just a few short moments here as the pace cars lights that out. We're going to be going back to green flag racing here. 225 laps remaining tonight, and we are hopefully going to get some great racing here at Atlanta. They're all hunching back, getting ready for the start as we are getting ready to go into the restart zone. They come, and Dyson puts his foot down and gets a big start. Stevie Dub a little bit sluggish away. Maybe just caught out in the wrong gear there. That just left a bit of a gap, but that should close pretty quickly. Wondering if we'd see Ruben Phelps try and drop down between the two teammates and just split them up a little bit. Decides better of it. So Jamie Nankervis up the top, getting a good run. And that high line is going to get a lot of momentum now. Expect to see that high line just chugging forwards a little bit as Phelps and Nankervis drop down in front of Dyson. So up front is Jamie Nankervis in the lead up on the high line. We've got Mark Smith and Paul Drady as well. Dyson looking to jump up there too. Just got caught with that start. He just Steve up just a little bit sluggish away, and that just cost that low line that little bit of momentum. You do sometimes find here the midline is usually the better line for runs. So you know, the low line can sometimes sort of just choke itself out. It just loses momentum here. So sometimes that mid to high line can be a better option on the race for this track if you're looking to get the draft past some people.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen in the real world that it was mainly the mid-track that really worked. But Ruben's dropped down the low line and making that low line work. It's forced Jamie up onto the outside lane. And they've actually dropped Ruben now. So look at Dyson to drop back down. He'll try and drag Stevie Dub with him and Mark Smith there in the Lucas Oil cars. So it's going to be interesting. Dyson and Williams have stayed high, going around the outside of Nankervis.
Yeah, Nankervis is going to drop a bit like a stone here. He was left high and dry as Dyson just lifted a little bit just to give a little bit of room so he could get that monster run, and he has taken advantage of that. And the two Lucas Oil cars as well, jumping up in front of Nankervis.
Oh, one of the Quantum cars there on the outside. That was
a hell of a save. Tom Williams there. One of the saves of the race so far. That was looking like it was going to be a monster wreck. Had that thing four-wheel drifting across the quad oval, and somehow we did not get a big wreck there. That could have been a big wreck from checkup or from people just hitting. So good job there from everybody. Great job by Williams saving that car as well. So easy to have the car go loose on you here at Atlanta. It is a really tricky track sometimes. You think you get lulled into a false sense of security sometimes because it is pretty much flat out. You sort of get into this zen moment where you're driving along and you're sort of so used to the car handling as you expect it, and then all of a sudden you just go a millimetre to the left or right of your usual line, hit a nasty bump, and find yourself in huge trouble.
Yeah, the trucks are renowned for that around here. We've seen in some of the other leagues the trucks really snapping loose just all of a sudden, and it looks like these cup cars are going to do the same thing here tonight.
Yeah, it takes me back to the release of this Next Gen Cup car. It has moments where it used to have moments where it would just snap on you for almost no reason. You'd just be caught by surprise by it, and that's kind of what it's like racing at Atlanta. Is the car feels fine, everything you're doing is exactly the same, and then all of a sudden it will just snap from nowhere and catch you off guard, and well, if you're not quick, you're going to have a nasty wreck. But the cars are a lot more stable now, but Atlanta does tend to bring it out of them. So Dyson up in the lead at the moment, trying to sort of keep the toe blocked off as Matty Ray is working his way towards the front, linking up with Ruben Phelps now. The two SRM cars linking up with each other, and teams are starting to do that now. We're seeing a few different teammates getting in positions to link up, and Dyson saw that attack coming from up high, jumps up there. Stevie Dub now caught in the middle with 3 wide. It's Williams, Ruben Phelps, and Mark Smith on the low line as, very nice of that car just dropping it down low to let the leaders pass, because if they caught them on the corner and we had to go 4 wide, I reckon that could have been a bit disastrous.
Yeah, Atlanta definitely isn't a place where you want to go 4 wide in real life or in sim. But as I said, last weekend we've seen a great race there in the real world by the Cup cars, and we had 4 wide there for a couple of laps. I don't think anyone here will be brave enough to go 4 wide tonight.
Never put it past him though, Mark.
No, if it's going to happen, I'd say it'd be the last 20 laps. But we have been proven wrong before, Carl.
Absolutely, it is. Look, it's one of those things, and racing drivers and sim racing drivers, they will go. We're fit doing fine 3 wide at the moment. Maybe we'll try 4 wide, see how that goes. But we're going to get a wreck in the background. A big moment behind as there is contact for Wayne Van Billion, and just didn't quite see who that was. Matt Hunter making contact with each other. There's a big checkup. So let's see the replay here. So coming off of the next corner, watch the car in front of Matt Hunter. Watch that orange and white car of Wayne Van Billion. Just going to have a moment because the car in front of them just taps the wall, has a checkup. Hunter just catches the back of Van Billion's car, and they just make contact with each other. A tricky position to be in, that one, because it is so easy it's so hard to see in front of you when you've got a car sitting there. You can very easily have an accident when there's a checkup in front of you.
Yeah, looking at Wayne's car as he comes in the pit, heavy damage on the right-hand side. So not a very good night for Wayne and one of our Kiwi drivers.
Hopefully be able to get some repairs done, get the car back out. We've got a lot of cars coming in to the lane here. Luke Yeager and Carl Needle are sticking it out on track. Justin Allen as well. So a couple of people sticking out, trying something different here. Been about 15 laps since the last stop for these guys. So that's going to be a little bit of difference on the tyres and things like that if they needed to change. But the other thing is fuel, and a lot of those stops were just fuel only. So it looks like a lot of those drivers coming in just topping up the tanks. So no fresh tyres, but some fresh fuel put in the car to give them an extension of their range, and that could prove crucial if we get a lot of green flag racing.
Yeah, I mean to say it's not too bad. Only our second caution. In years past we have seen a lot of cautions here at Atlanta. I'm expecting a few because of the new open setups and guys just trying to fine tune these cars through the pit stops. But by the looks of our timing screen, there's no one really done any fine tuning it through anything, because they've all been in and out fairly quickly. The longest stop there so far, Matty Hunter with a 26.5 in his box, Tom Williams 57.4, and Luke Georgeson. Wayne Van Billion is still in pit lane, so he's trying to get that damage done. He's falling a lap down. So we still got 22 cars on the lead lap, Carl. So that's good news. Brian Massa, our American driver, is a lap down, and also Wayne Van Billion, the two guys that are a lap down. So we'll have to keep an eye on them because they'll be definitely looking at racing for position. And Brian will definitely be looking at trying to get as many points as he can tonight, because he did miss the 500 last week. So his season is off to a slight backwards step. But pace lights are out. Lights are out on the pace car. So I'll hand it back to you for the race restart, Carl.
Absolutely, as we get ready to go back to racing here at Atlanta for the Everything Simulated 400, and it's going to be once again slightly different start. We've got a few different cars back up there as well, and the pack is a little bit muddled once again. Lots of different strategies on track here as well, so quite a few different opinions on what they want to do. Who has got it right, who has got it wrong, we'll find out soon. But the pace car will peel in here, and it's going to be up to the pole sitter, Carl Needler, leading us away in the VSK entry. Who is going to, how's this start going to go? And nice start, a little bit of a runaway there by Needler, and that's going to come back to bite him as the rest of the pack will form up and absolutely fly past him. Here, Ryan Jones moving up into second, just getting past Luke Yeager, and the high line starting to form with Maddie Ray now. Can Needler and Jones link up here at all? Just try and get some running as Jones moves up high. He has got himself up in the high line ahead of that second row, and now Needler's fallen back, and that's going to just stifle the momentum of that low line a little bit. High line is going to be the place to be. Cars are looking a little bit twitchy there as well. They're not looking too stable at the moment. They are looking a little bit on the Larry side out there tonight, and that is going to give a few people a little hesitation here. Ryan Jones trying to keep both lines in check now. So Jones has decided it's time for the lead, trying to keep both lines in check, just chucking down, dropping the momentum off of the lines as he does that. Can Needler get the car underneath him here as they are flying forwards? And which way will they go? You can see Jones, he's just trying to stop the momentum coming from one lane. Once he picks it off, he was then going to another lane. Will that high line be able to check up and start closing in now? Maddie Ray leading the charge there with Paul Drady just behind him. Then you have Nate Curvis and Norman Clark as well. They are charging along. Ruben Phelps up high, looking to get a third line running, just trying to work his way up the field a little bit here. They're 3 wide back there as it's Phelps, Norman Clark, and the 067 of Philip Butler with Smith back there as well. So lots of racing going on. They're sitting in some wide lines, and there's a bit of contact across the quad oval. Stevie Dub gets a bit of a hit, but they all keep running in the right direction. Another great save from tonight.
We'll just go back and have a look at that. I've got that on replay. We can see here the 3 wide here down into the quad oval. Stevie Williams just down there low, and Philip Butler just giving him a door slam. Very lucky that he didn't get further out on the grass, because that would have really sent things a little bit haywire there, Carl. Back to live pitches now.
That experience coming into play for Stevie Dub, good save. And that's the thing about the quad oval, is it's such a tricky place to be, because you never know where the cars are on inside of you, because people take different lines. Some people cut right across the apron. Some people like to stay on track. And that really means that as you go across the quad oval, you basically just got to shut your eyes and hope for the best.
Yeah, definitely. See some aggressive driving there by Ruben Phelps, dropping down on that low line then when everyone split up there. That's left Matty Ray and Norman Clark and Matthew Bale out there. Oh, not the right place to rub when you're coming off the turn like that. That could have been disastrous for Norman Clark.
Yeah, that was another good save there. And look, that's the thing of Atlanta, is got to know where you're rubbing and just got to get the rubbing in the right place. You've got to keep the car linked up, and you've got to have confidence with the people around you as well. It's so many things going on when you're racing a car here and racing in a pack like this. And unlike places like Talladega and Daytona, where you have those big long straights that last for maybe a good 10 to 15 odd seconds, where you can really link up with each other and you can almost just have a little bit of a breather. Here at Atlanta, the straight only lasts a couple of seconds. You've got to link up, you've got to hook up right on the exit of the corner and make sure you're not pushing too hard on the entry of the corner. You've got to get it done by the end of the straight and just let that car in front of you get settled through the corners, because if you start pushing into these corners, that's when disaster can start to happen. We've got 3 wide back there at the moment. Ryan Jones in the middle as Matthew Beale up into 6th position, having a good run up through the field, up in 5th position now, working his way up nicely through the pack as they all chop and change positions. It's Carl Needler up in the lead with Luke Yeager as well. Those two having a solid run at the moment, but now Paul Drady is having a monster run on them. He's got Jamie Nankervis right in behind him, and that gap will close very, very quickly. The problem about making a gap here at Atlanta is unless you manage to make it long enough that the draft doesn't come into effect, you are going to have somebody coming back at you very, very quickly.
And we see there on the high line, Andrew Dyson and Ryan Jones have hooked up together. So look for them to get a big run. Ruben Phelps has dropped up there and behind them. So it's a bit of a team outside line there at the moment. Mark Smith has dropped back down to 11th place, so he's lost his teammate, but still within striking distance to catch back up. Unfortunately for Nankervis, he's the only Valve esports team up there. Just looking to see where Norman Clark's dropped. Norman Clark's dropped back down to 13. He's just fallen off that lead pack, so Nankervis up there by himself at the moment.
018 of Beale just jumping up and cutting the momentum a little bit off of the DPR cars. He wants to be leading that high line at the moment, and the DPR cars are sort of going, yeah, we kind of wanted it ourselves, and it's just started costing them a little bit of momentum. Can they start to work it back? The low line is formed up into a big long snake at the moment, with Needler back to Smith, so a decent amount of cars there. We've got 3 cars up on the high line at the moment, but all the rest are down low. There's another big group trying to catch up to this pack as well, and they're doing a good job of working together at the moment, being led by Maxi Marshall, who is hoping for a decent result here tonight, and coming off some good results recently. Hopefully for Maxi, does not get any bad misfortune happening. 24 due for some good luck in these races. So plenty of different races going on here, and everybody is working hard at the moment. Still 195 laps to go, mind you, so still a long way in this race. No point in trying to win it at the moment, because all you're going to do is end up possibly costing yourself a chance of a good finish later in this race. You've got to get the car to the finishing line, of course, to get those points, but you still want to be relatively high up in the pack just in case there is one of those accidents, so you can avoid the chaos on track. Speaking of big hit for Matty Ray, just had, I think, Ryan Jones go down and just give him a big tap in the side. I think it was a little bit of a...
Got a replay here.
Little bit of a rub from behind from Dyson. So just unsettled the car and sent it down into Matty Ray. And Matty Ray doing a fantastic job of saving that one, but he's going to lose a lot of speed as he's just got to get back on the track. So, again, a very close call there. I think we've had, 3 mega saves tonight.
Yeah, definitely have. Unfortunately for Matty Ray, he's dropped back down into that 15th spot in that second group that's made up of both VSK cars. Now we've got Noddy Tompkins there with Matty Ray and 2 Quantum cars and Maxi Marshall. So Noddy will try and push the way through, but never count Matty Ray out. We seen him last week at the 500 sitting down the back all race, and then coming back up to win the 500. So it's definitely a person that you can't count out. But back up front, we now have Ruben Phelps up on that top line, leading that outside line.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd written Matty Ray off last week. We thought his car was too damaged, and he ended up coming across the line and taking victory in the 500. So definitely do not discount that number 83 from coming back up in this race. And that group's doing a good job. They're not falling too far off the pace. That's the main thing. So they're doing a good job of keeping with the main pack. They're only about 4 seconds off. So not a terrible position to be in, and what they want to see is these guys fighting like this, because that's going to slow the momentum down at the front.
Yeah, definitely. That high line now has got a nice good run as Jones drops down to the low line. Ruben has decided to stay on that mid line, looking for Dyson to get up and give him a push. But I don't think Dyson will really want to push too hard, because he'll want his teammate out the front collecting as many bonus points as he can for leading the race.
Yeah, he'll be trying to work out a way to link back up, I reckon, with his teammate, but it's not easy to do sometimes.
No, definitely not. Just while we're coming to this part of the race, I want to put a big shout out and a big thanks to Everything Simulated, bringing you this race tonight. So great to see some sponsors coming on board. So if you need anything for your sim racing, make sure you head over to Everything Simulated's Facebook page and get in touch with them. They do from cockpits right through to all your gear shifts, pedals, and steering wheels, and direct drives. So be sure to check them out.
Absolutely, a good business to be touting in sim racing, because we always need something new as sim racers. It's a common thing. Something's either breaking or getting worn out or getting too old. So it is a constant business. Up the front, Ryan Jones just getting a little bit squirrely there, just caught the apron, and that's going to give Ruben Phelps the opportunity to get the run on the inside now of the number 11. And working their way up quite quickly here. Dyson's dropped down to the back of this group. He's got no real support up high, so I wonder if we're going to see those two cars linking up with each other once more. But it is Ruben Phelps up in the lead now of this race. And gap was not quite there. Needler did a good job of just lifting out there just to avoid a little bit of a moment. And look, that's the other thing about Atlanta, Mark, is the spotter will often tell you you're clear, but you've only got a millisecond of clear running. It's so easy to get told that you're clear, go down there and all of a sudden find a car on the inside of yourself. So it is not an easy thing to get right. And a lot of these drivers are using triples or VR, things like that. Some people are using single screens or ultra wides, so you don't always have that peripheral vision available to you. And even if you do, the view out the side of these cars is not very good in the first place. So you usually can't see much, even when you've got the opportunity to look to your side.
No, definitely not. And what we might do is we'll jump on board here with Ruben Phelps. That's his driver's view that he can see out of the front. So as you can see, there's not a lot to see. And in real life, the seats that they use here you can't turn your head very far to the left or right, because they wrap around to your top of your helmet, and you're really in there like a sardine in a tin can.
That is it. So you're always relying on that spotter to let you know when you're clear on the inside, clear on the outside, letting you know what's going on to the left and right of you, because you do have mirrors in these cars. You've got some sort of mirrors to look at, but they don't often help too much. So there are all these little things that you sort of take for granted in a road car. When you're in one of these stock cars, you don't get anywhere near the amount of viewing area. It's a bit like driving a Lamborghini. You know, you've got no visibility out of the side, out of the rear. Little bit of visibility out the front, but not really that much. You are basically just pointing it forwards and hoping nobody is to the left and right of you.
Yeah, that's right. We're on nose cam here now. You can see that a good view of that diffuser under the rear of the car now. That's only just come back or come into effect when they went to this next gen car. And I really do think that has a lot to do with the way the cars move around. Because you've got to get the ride height correct, otherwise you'll find that thing banging on the ground. And I knows that some in real world, some of them say that's very unsettling.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to get right. Is the under the car, the downforce from under the car, ground effects, effectively sort of systems like that, and you want the car to be sitting as low as possible, so all that air goes out the back, it goes out of the diffuser and sucks the car to the ground. But if you've got it too low and you start hitting bumps and the car starts launching itself up in the air, you lose all of that downforce, you lose all of that grip. So it's such a fine balancing act to get the car right. And then, of course, when you're on a speedway like this, when a car chops down in front of you, all of a sudden, the air gets taken away from you, and all of a sudden, you've got no downforce, you've got no grip at the rear. So it's such a constant thing, and it really is easy to get caught out driving this next gen car because of that. As soon as the air gets taken away from a car that has a bit of aero, which these do, it's almost hopeless. The car relies so much on the grip you get from the aero. It doesn't really rely on the mechanical grip of the sort of older generation of cars. So it's built around having aerodynamic grip, not mechanical grip. And when you get that aero grip taken away, these cars feel almost useless. See, personally, I'm all for mechanical grip arc myself. But,
yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
Back up front though, we have the two DPR cars out in front. The third one, where is he?
Curtis.
No, the third DPR car, Stevie Williams, sitting down in 23rd at the moment, 3 laps down. So he has obviously taken some damage from that rub through that quad oval.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe Stevie Dub had a drive-through from that one as well. So not sure, because yeah, it didn't look like he took too much damage, but I did see him coming into the lane, so it has dropped Stevie Dub 3 laps down. So that's going to be a lot of work to get that one back up through the pack tonight. And it's always disheartening when you're sitting a few laps off the lead, especially in a long race, but it can come back to you. You just can't give up.
No, that's right. Many races have been won with cars being a lap or two down in the last 30 laps. So I mean to say it's never over until the fat lady sings. So we just got to hope for Stevie Dub that there is maybe 1 or 2 more cautions through this race, and see the guys get back up there. We're now on 36 laps for these lead guys. With the next person we should see in the pit lane is Carl, Luke Jager, and Justin Allen, because they're all up on the 51 laps on this stint because they did not pit that last caution. So we'll keep an eye out for those guys to come down pit lane in the next 10 laps, Carl.
Yeah, they should be able to extend a couple of laps from that caution running, but it won't be long until they start to need to pop into pit lane to get some fuel and get some servicing done on the cars. And then it's just about working to the end of the race. It's how few pit stops can you do in this race. That's going to be the crucial part. So everybody's going to be working out what they can do in the race, how long they can go, how many pit stops they need. Is a little bit of a rub again. that little bit of bump drafting just didn't work there with Dyson and Jones. They both caught the wall, and that really stuck the momentum off both cars. They managed to keep it going, but you can see Dyson just dropping back a little bit here. Now Nankervis is all over the back of the 11, the yellow DPR entry, and he's putting the pressure on. And that's about the fourth or fifth time we've seen it tonight with the two teammates, just having that little bit too hard a bump and just getting a little bit squirrely.
Yeah, definitely right. And look, I know Jamie's a clean racer, but with that car moving around, he's not going to take that for long. He will try and bump him out of the road. And we've got to remember rubbing is racing in NASCAR. So look at keep an eye on that aggression level just going up a little bit, even with only being 89 laps in to this race, because the Valve Esports team will be definitely looking to rectify the bad luck from last week. They took the duels, the shootout race for the pole position last week, 1, 2, and 3. And then come the 500, they just got mixed up in other people's wrecks, just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. As we can see there, Carl Nankervis drops to the low line. Phelps goes with him. Bale goes with him. So they're going to drop Jones.
Good run so far for Bale and Dew as well. The 95 and the 018 having a good race here. They've kept themselves up at the front, keeping their noses clean at the moment and doing a good job of working their way up there. I wonder if the 018 of Beale has got the mad dog himself, Mr. Stevie Hoppett, in his ear, just giving him a little bit of advice, just keeping him calm and just saying, look, don't worry, it'll come to you, just keep yourself in this spot and just keep the car clean. That's the crucial part of this race. Meanwhile, Hayden Dew's doing a great job just behind him, so both those cars up. It's currently sitting in third and fourth in this race, so really good stuff from two rookies in the series.
Yeah, definitely good to see the rookies up. When we first started, we didn't think we'd have any rookies for this year, but we've ended up with about 5 of them. So unfortunately, though, they need to complete 21 races of the season to be eligible for the Rookie of the Year. So just have to keep reminding them to turn up and race, and they're putting on a good show.
As we see, Ruben Phelps running up a little bit high, Beale just looking to go down the inside, maybe decides better of it, and that's probably a wise thing to do. You don't really need to be racing side by side at the moment. You can sort of just keep yourself just sitting there in that spot, not getting into too much trouble, as Ryan Jones getting a monster run, trying to go down the inside of the quad oval there, doesn't quite get the momentum needed, but just shuffles Hayden Dew out of that group of cars. Meanwhile, Ruben Phelps up in the lead now, and we're once again seeing some good racing going on. Meanwhile, the two Pluckers racecraft cars, the two Lucas Oils cars, sitting just behind Mark Smith and Paul Drady, just sat there, just watching this all unfold and just going, yeah, you boys keep fighting with each other. That's fine. You know, we're happy where we are at the moment. We know it's a long race. We do not need to win it at the moment, as we see Matt Beale getting to the lead, getting a run up into the lead of the race here. Can he stay on the lead until the next corner? Not quite, as Ryan Jones moves his way back up into the lead of this race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he'll miss out on a bonus point for leading the lap, but nevertheless, that lead lap may come sooner than later for Beale. It's really good to see the rookies up there mixing it with these more experienced guys. I've spoken to Andrew Dyson a few times over the last few weeks. We're not going to see those DPR cars in every race. They're really being selective of what races they're going to do this year. But it's good, nevertheless. It's good to see them out there having a run. And let's hope we do see him a few more times through the year. I dare say Neil Pearson will be back to to try for the Anzac Cup. We seen the last time Jake Saddington win that, a rookie again coming through to win one of the biggest races of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what races they pick and choose, and like, I think that's going to be a case for a few drivers this season. It's a long old year of racing, and everybody's sort of going, yeah, I might just have a couple of extra days off and just have a little bit more relaxation on the weekend. But you always get that racing bug biting you and just getting underneath your skin, and it's always nice to have that option to get back out on track when you can and get in for the racing.
Yeah, definitely. All Bill getting a little bit taily there through the quad oval. But again, we'll duck back down and have a look at the back. There's 10.
Well, we're going to be seeing some pit stops very soon from Needler and Jaeger. So those two are going to be popping into the lane. So it might be worth just keeping an eye on Carl Needler and Luke Jaeger, the 2 and the 44, going to be popping into the lane here. And this is one of the harder lanes to get right. Atlanta, the entry is just off the exit of turn number 4. And you've got to get the car slowed down in time, and it is so easy to get collected from cars behind. So you need to make sure you've called it out, make sure people know that you're coming into the lane. Unlike the Full Metal Racing Series, the entry is not off of going into turn 3. The entry is off of turn 4 here. So it does mean that it's a little bit more sketchy, and we often see some big accidents as people are coming into the lane. So they managed to go 66 laps, just about.
Yeah.
Justin Allen pitting in now as well. So
now, Carl, sorry,
that,
it looks like they didn't take tyres. It looks like it was been a fuel-only stop. No, they must have. I didn't see Carl's car go up on jacks.
I'll go back and have a look at that one for you.
But back up front, we still have this angry group of Jones, Nankervis, Phelps, Bale, Dew, Smith, Drady, and Dyson. Matty Raymond's been able to pick his way back up into 9th position. Just looking at he's just over 6 seconds off that lead group, so he'll definitely be looking for another caution to bring that group back. He's in that group with Tom Williams and Luke Georgeson, both for the Quantum Motorsports team. Maxi Marshall there with him. Not seen him out doing a great deal so far this year, but I know he's heavily involved in some other leagues, so hopefully we'll see him out there running. It's Norman Clark then drops back in the 13th spot with Matty Hunter in 14th and Philip Butler. Oh, we got Jamie, one of the Valve cars just rubbing the wall there as we went to it. Jarrett Williams.
So I've gone back and looked at those pit stops, Mark, and indeed, Needler did not take tyres. So that's going to be interesting to see how it runs. I mean, it's going to be probably about 80% worn tyres. So they're not going to be super bad, but they're not going to be fresh. So that could make it a little bit more of a handful as the stint goes on. But we'll have an extra set of fresh tyres up his sleeve, so that could come into play later in the race. I mean, not a huge drop off of time here. The sort of lap times are only about 4 or 5 tenths off of what they were setting on fresh tyres, so it's not a huge drop off, but fresh tyres always a little bit nicer around Atlanta than worn tyres.
Yeah, I don't understand that, because the boys have got 8 sets of tyres available to them. So unless he's planning on a lot of cautions later on in the race,
Yeah.
Yeah. I just received a message from Mr. Russell Bratko, one of our US drivers. He made a boo boo, and would you believe he put the wrong setup into the car?
Oh no. Oh,
Yeah.
that's painful.
He said the thing was as loose as a goose. He tried to tighten it up, but he just couldn't do it. So he thought instead of causing a wreck, he take it behind the wall and come out and battle next week at Las Vegas.
An easy mistake to make, in all honesty. It's it's a bit hard to explain if people aren't used to how iRacing works, but with the setup, you sort of you don't get individual track setups appearing for every track. You get all of your setups. So if you've got lots of different setups in your folder, it's very easy to click on the wrong one. And a lot of these guys will have qualifying and race setup as well. And qualifying setup's very different to your race setup. Qualifying setup will have the car hunched down a lot. It will have the car a lot lower, and that can cause some real problems for the car in race conditions, because when you load it up with fuel, that's going to drop the car even lower, of course. Then you're running in a pack, getting that aero over it, and it can make the car really, really twitchy and loose. I've had it happen to myself a couple of times where got a little bit. I never worry about qualifying setups, Mark, because I've probably told you in the past.
Yep.
Because I'm too lazy, I can't be asked for that. So it's only race setups I worry about. But sometimes you can you might just set that race setup a little bit too low as well. And I had that happen to me at Daytona in the Xfinity car this year, and the car was great. It was lovely and fast, but it drove like an 87 car. It was so loose. The thing that was four-wheel drifting around Daytona most laps, and you don't usually get that in the Xfinity car. It was the absolute handful. Made the race more fun, though.
Yeah, definitely. So we're almost at half race distance. Not too far off it now. And it's been pretty good so far. I'll just try and find.
Yeah, we had a good run so far. We're taking some good pace as well. Only the 2 cautions so far tonight. We've had 17 changes of the lead with 6 individual lead changes, so 6 individual drivers leading this race. And we're going to get another lead change here as Jamie Nankervis gets his way up to the front with Ruben Phelps right behind him. Matthew Beale trying to get up there as well. Can Beale make the run work at the right time this time? That is an important lesson to learn on a track like Atlanta. Keep your powder dry. Don't go too soon. You need to absolutely pounce at the right moment to get yourself up in front of those cars in front of you. If you go too soon, you're going to end up just dropping off that momentum and finding yourself fall back. We're going to start seeing some pit stops now as well, I reckon. The field should be needing, well, pretty much the whole field will start to need to come into pit lane very, very shortly. When will the leaders be pulling it in? That is going to be the big question. But it won't be too long, maybe a lap or two, until we start seeing the whole field coming in for green flag stops here at Atlanta. And, well, I mean, I don't want to say it, but I reckon there is a good chance we might see a caution flag.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like the pit stops or service intervals are when the boys tend to just forget where they are, and a bit of a memory lapse. You're driving at great knots of speed, as we can see here. Jamie Nankervis into turns 3 and 4, 284 kilometres. So trying to slow that car down from that 280 or 290 kilometres down to about 70 kilometres is no easy feat in a very short space of time.
Absolutely, and I mean, look, if you've done highway driving, the speed limits in Australia, most of our faster speed limits about 90 kilometers per hour. It gets up to about 110 kilometers per hour. But when you're driving along at those speeds and you drop down to a slower speed, you drop down to say 60 kph, you do not know what's happening. because it catches you off guard as Phelps, Jones, and Dyson into the lane. Jones getting all locked up, but just manages to get it in.
Ruben just overshot. You just see there, he had to move back a little bit up on the rights, taking right sides. Lefts, so he's taken 4 sets. Same with Dyson.
As
great race off pit lane.
Jones just going to get it. Matthew Beale having a moment coming into the lane, has overshot. That was a disastrous entry for Matthew Beale. And the question is, enough fuel to get round for another lap? Hopefully so for Beale, but not getting up to speed very quickly. This is going to cost a huge amount of time. And it's starting to splutter a little bit. I'm just listening on my end.
He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful of being up there, because if he comes down and causes a wreck, he'll be... Oh, jeez. He's very lucky boy there that no one was coming.
Just got away with that one. Mark Smith, Paul Drady. We said they were just sitting at the back of that pack, just letting everybody else fight. And, well, they were doing a bit of fuel saving out there. They have managed to get 71 laps into this race at, well, pretty much full throttle. So it won't be long until we see the 2 Lucas Oil cars coming into the lane. But they've managed to extend that extra couple of laps, and that could be crucial as we get to the end of this race for their strategy. That could be the difference between needing a splash and dash or not. So we'll see how that one works out. Both those cars nicely into the lane and not making contact with each other. Always a nice thing to do.
Yeah. I know they were very talkative about that duel incident where they both ran into each other, and they said they definitely don't want to happen again. I'm just looking here at the pit crew for Mark Smith in their Batman out uniforms. So very good sense of humour. Mark Smith, a great stop, 14.9 seconds in the box. So when we've seen him take 4 tyres and a full load of fuel. Just wondering, Paul Drady just a little bit longer in his box there at 15.3 seconds. So a little bit slower. But they've come back out in behind. Drady's become out in 6th place. Smith has rejoined the race in 3rd. So nice little run there. But as I say that, he gets swamped and dropped back down to 5th position.
Yeah, you've just got to get that car up to speed now, and that's always a tricky thing to do. But look, not a surprise to see Smithy's pit crew doing a better job. I mean, you have an advantage when you've got Bruce Wayne in the pit lane, and Batman always tends to know what he's doing, has a plan in advance, and got that car serviced extra quick. Meanwhile, the 2 GPR cars getting a run on Nankervis and Phelps here, and the race is on once more at the front of the field. But there's a big split now throughout the pack from those green flag stops, and a lot of our rookie drivers getting caught out in those green flag stops.
I wasn't not sure there whether that was Dyson giving Jones just an awkward rub, or Jones just got down into that gutter there, and that caught the left rear. Nevertheless, they're back nose to tail, and pushing each other again.
Big moment of deep breath and hoping there. That was very much a little bit of a scary moment, you got to say. I was just going through some of the rookies to the series. Hayden Dew did a good pit stop. He managed to get out with Paul Drady. So he's managed to link himself up with Paul Drady. But we did see with Matthew Beale. He made a bit of a pig's ear of that pit stop, unfortunately. And look, it's one of the things I always say to drivers that are coming onto ovals for the first time, or coming into ovals, moving up into an oval series. Main thing you want to do in the practice session, not just, you want to get some laps under your belt, but you want to probably spend about a good 10 minutes of just practicing pit entry and exit. It's such a crucial skill, and it can make the biggest difference in a race like this. It is just such a huge part of racing on a track like this. You can gain an enormous amount of time by getting the pit stops absolutely timed to perfection.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen in the past drivers like Dyson, Dave Douglas, Hamish Gallagher, Josh Mickelmore, and Jason Martin. If any rookies want to see how to do a pit stop, go back and watch some of the streams that we've got here, or head over to the ANSCAR webpage or Performance eStream and have a look at those guys. They are masters at getting on and off pit lane. I think the fastest pit stop I've seen from Dyson is down in the 12-second bracket. Same with DD, mid to high 12s. So they really have that mastered.
That's it, and the stationary time, you can't do too much about that because the tyres and the fuel, that's always going to take about 12 to 15 seconds depending on what you're doing. But it's the pit entry, the pit exit, entering your box, leaving your box. Those are the bits where you gain so much time, and it's amazing how much that can help you in a race if you can nail those parts. And you'll often see you see those drivers in pit lane. If you've got them around you coming in to the line, they are last minute on the brakes. They are absolutely using every last bit of the racetrack, using every last bit of speed to get the car slowed down, to get the car into the lane, and to keep as much speed as possible. And it is such a crucial thing. And it can also help you on caution stops as well. It's amazing how many people will just blunder along in a caution stop. They won't push the car, and you can gain a huge amount of time in those yellow flag stops because people may not be sitting on the speed limit in the pit lane. They might not be attacking the pit entry line, and you can make a huge amount of you can gap people a huge amount with that and actually get yourself up a good 3 or 4 spots. It's such a vital skill on ovals. And pit stops are always crucial, no matter what form of racing you're doing. But on oval racing, because it's such a tricky thing to get the car stopped, to get the car into the lane, it is such a big part of the skill set. It's well worth doing that little bit of practicing in every single race session, just to get yourself comfortable with it and just to know where your limits are as well.
Yeah, definitely. We might jump on board with Jonesy here. We can see the sun starting to get a little bit lower in the ground. We can see turns 1 and 2 now coming in a bit of shade, so a little bit cooler part of the track here. And as we watch Jones come up on the back of Matty Hunter and co. And Matthew Beale there doing the right thing, dropping down low, letting Jones have that mid-track.
And that's how much time that was lost by Matthew Beale just from that missing a pit entry. He's dropped down a lap now.
Yeah, down in 15th. So we still got 15 cars on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap is Norman Clark, which I do believe that is him just up here in front of with Maxi Marshall. So we'll only have when Jones passes these two, we'll have 12 cars on the lead lap. So it's not the worst that we've seen, and it's definitely not the worst that's ever been there in the real world either. I do remember a Daytona 500. The race winner was the only one on the lead lap. Everyone else was a lap down. So it's good racing. It's been hard racing right throughout the race so far.
Absolutely, some great action on track, and it is a thing, Mark. In longer races, you tend to lose more cars off the lead lap. It's a common little thing, and you know, everybody talks about the good old days of motorsport and the classic days. But it was rare to have more than one or two cars on the lead lap back then. We're so spoiled in the modern era where we have, up to 10, 15 cars sometimes on the lead lap at the end. Back in the old days, it was very uncommon to see more than five or so cars on the lead lap. And that was on circuits like the Nürburgring and places like that, where, it's a ridiculous length of time. You're talking about a good 10-minute lap time, and not having many cars on the lead lap. It's very, very nice with the modern era to actually have that slightly closer racing.
Yeah, definitely. I just brought up the race info. Still only 2 cautions for 4 laps. 125 laps left. And look at that, Carl. 25 lead changes tonight so far in this race.
Yeah, quite a few again. Just a little awkward rub there from Dyson to James, but they managed to keep it going. They've linked up with Stevie Dove now, and they've broken away from Jamie Nankervis and Ruben Phelps. So that group has broken away. So that is bad news for the rest of them. A little bit further back, Paul Drady's trying to get a group working together here with Hayden Dew and Maddie Ray, trying to get that group moving up and moving forwards. So they're going to want to try and close in on the leaders if they can. But at the moment, DPR are doing a very good job of leading this pack and breaking away from the field.
Yeah, we've seen whenever they tend to join up, they get a good run happening and really being able to move forward. Even through other leagues, we see when the DPR boys hook up, they can really move their cars forward.
Yeah, very strong team and some very strong drivers as well. Ryan Jones, multiple winner. Andrew Dyson, multiple winner. You got Stevie Dove, multiple winner. Champions in the mix as well. It's a lot of experience through those cars as well. So that is it's a team that when you can actually beat them, you sort of have to pat yourself on the back because they are such a strong group of drivers. It is very difficult to get one over on them.
Yeah, we've seen them in whatever league they run. Anscar, Aussie Outlaws are always very strong. They just seem to be able to pick up the right setup. That they really got on top of the setups last year with Anscar in the semi-open setup, and we've seen them really move forward through the year.
Yeah, they do a lot of racing in American leagues as well with open setups. So the open setup stuff is definitely something that plays to their strengths. Not that they need it, of course, but it is really helping them get a good run here today. And they are absolutely on it at the moment. But those 3 cars are very, very fast. It's a shame Stevie Dub is a couple of laps down, though. 4 laps down for Stevie Dub after getting caught in an incident earlier on, because that car has definitely got some speed. That 98 is absolutely rapid, and well, Stevie Dub is no slouch himself, so shame not to see him up there battling it out to keep himself on the podium, but I am sure it will come back in another race at some stage. One race could be bad luck, another race could be some good luck. They all even out in the end.
Yeah, you're definitely right. We see Stevie Dub really step up in the big silverware races. The man hasn't been around for 450 plus races through different leagues and not been at the pointy end. Just a bad luck show tonight for him with that side bump earlier on in the race that sent him down on the infield.
Yeah, it was a shame to see him just losing that little bit, but he will come back and come back stronger, of course. It's normal to see that, and it is one of the things with Stevie Dub is he will always come back.
But right now they definitely are opening up a nice little gap. They now have uh, a 6 second gap now over Jamie Nankervis. So either Jamie's car's gone off a little bit, or those DPR cars have just really got them hooked up. But there, you got Jamie Nankervis, Mark Smith, Ruben Phelps there. Paul Drady's dropped off this pack, but there's a lot of good cars still in this second pack. Matty Hunter there, having a good run. Now he's up in the 12th spot, 1 lap down. So it's good to see Matty Hunter up there, another Kiwi driver, and having a good race, and for his second race back out on track with the Aussie Outlaws.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to see Matty Hunter out on track. He doesn't always get enough racing in, and being over in New Zealand as well, that can sometimes make it a little bit tricky as well, because the time zones there can be a little bit troublesome for our Kiwi contingent. Obviously, a big shout out to the Americans as well. It is very late over there too. So some absolute warriors in the field for racing late in the evening.
Oh, one of the Quantum cars there. Just missed who that was. I think it was Luke Georgeson.
Luke Georgeson. And that is a
hit.
big hit. He's just caught that at the worst possible spot as well, and so lucky for Dyson not to catch him. That was right in the quad oval, and that's ripped the right front suspension off of that Camry. That is night done for Luke Georgeson, you got to say. That right front tyre is hanging on by a wing and a prayer at the moment, and well, that is a shame for Luke Georgeson. That is a painful way to finish the race, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You've got to be so careful in that on that quad oval section, because it's so easy to catch you out.
Yeah, we can see there. He's decided to tow just as I crossed to him in pit lane. So. Back up front, there's still a 2-horse race between Jones and Dyson. Nankervis still sitting in third, with Mark Smith in fourth. Ruben Phelps there in fifth. Then we drop back a little bit to Paul Drady, Matty Ray in sixth and seventh. Tom Williamson there now, the lead Quantum Motorsports car. He's now up in the eighth. Luke Jager now down in ninth place, our first lap car, 1 lap down. Cole Kindler behind him in 10th. And then Norman Clark, the gentleman sim racer, back there in 11th. So the cars are now really mixed up through these lead lap cars. So just have to keep an eye on things. And yeah, unfortunately for Mr. Clark, he didn't have a good 500 result. Sorry, yes he did. Finished third last week.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
I mean, he's had some good results recently. I mean, He's barely been out of the box.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have to move that stool that we've got put aside for him, and make room for Jones maybe.
Still a long way to go tonight. Do not ever discount Norman Clark. He's a wily driver. Just saving the car and come back from nowhere. I've seen that happen many times. But yeah, you've got to say at the moment it's looking good for Ryan Jones and Andrew Dyson. These two absolutely flying along. I was actually just quickly going back and just looking at my stat sheet from my ANSCAR side of duties. Just on Stevie Dubb, almost to 500 starts. He's at 484 starts for us. So he has got a lot of experience. And I mean, if you combine it between between everything, he has got a lot of experience on the oval side of things in Australia. Absolute veteran of the series and a stalwart competitor.
Yeah, definitely. Remind me next week, Carl, before we go start the broadcast, make sure I have my pages are opening up on the wrong screen, on the right screen.
Now, you said the wrong screen, so I'll
Yeah,
remind you to open them on the wrong screen again. So
yeah.
that's all fine. Yeah, look, this is an absolute veteran group of drivers here who have numerous wins between them. So it is a very strong group of cars running here from the front, and they've got such pace at the moment. They've built out almost 10 seconds over Jamie Nankervis and Ruben Phelps, Mark Smith as well. So they are flying at the moment, and well, it's looking good for them, you've got to say. But we still have 104 laps remaining here tonight at Atlanta, and well, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does.
Yeah, definitely. Take this time, a bit of time here, Carl, to do a few shout outs to our sponsors, our major sponsor, Lucas Oil, and Pluckus Racecraft. If you need any type of oil or motorsport attire, be sure to check them out. Pluckus Racecraft, Lucas Oil for all types of oil, from your everyday drive right through to all your motorsport needs. And tonight, our race sponsor tonight, and also our secondary major sponsor, Everything Simulated. As we said, if you need anything for your sim racing, head over there and check out their Facebook page. Also, Outlaw Slot Cars go racing in the miniature world down in Melbourne there. Be sure to check out their Facebook page. Some great racing. They hold races through the week for both slot cars in circuit side of things, and also something that's new to me. It wasn't around when I was a kid, drag racing on slot cars. So be sure to check them out and see what they have to offer. Also, Mountain Custom Designs, a man that does all engraving on all sorts of things. Be sure to check him out. He's bringing our weekly winners little momentum of their race win. Of some beer coasters, so the drivers can keep them and use them throughout the year. And of course, the man that's behind a lot of paints and a lot of our web custom designs for our logos, Aerial Auto Art. Be sure to check him out too if you need a custom paint. A big thank you and a big shout thanks to all our sponsors and through the year, and without them, the racing couldn't be brought to you here on Checker Flag E Streaming.
Absolutely, and I'm surprised to hear you had slot cars when you were young, Mark. I thought they were dinosaurs back then. But,
No, the Brontosaurus racing was starting to be phased out.
You're just starting to press them into oil back then.
Yes.
Ah, dear. Gonna get a slap for that one, I know.
No, it's all good.
Well, we got a little bit of a lull, a bit of a breather. Brett Campbell had some technical issues at the start of the race. I'll just grab him up quickly and bring Brett Campbell up and say hello to him. As we say that, as we do that, then all chaos breaks loose as Andrew Dyson collects the wall, takes a big slap into the wall, going through 3 and 4, just getting past those lapped cars. Was just giving Ryan Jones a bit of a push, got caught up on those marbles, and it sent him right up into the wall, and some heavy damage for the 41. That could have proved extremely bad indeed, but he has managed to link up with Stevie Dubs. Still looks to have some speed, but that has broken up the DPR run up at the front. Before any more chaos goes on, Brett Campbell, welcome to the booth, mate.
Hey Carl, hey Mark.
Hey Brett.
Brett bringing all the chaos with you tonight.
Well, it appears that way even when I'm not on the racetrack.
So, what happened out there tonight? What happened technically? What technical failure stopped you from getting the car out on track?
Mate, I've had a few issues with my screen going blank at the most inopportune moments. And I actually thought I'd fixed it late yesterday afternoon with my old graphics card, but sadly today I jumped in a practice session for some sprint cars, and yeah, she decided to go black screen on me again. So rather than cause more havoc, I decided to sit this one out, as one of the other boys from Quantum's got a graphics card that he just updated, and I'll await that one's arrival. So hopefully next week I'll be back on track.
Fingers crossed we'll see you back out on track then. I mean, you probably were doing some work to get the car set up. How was the car heading into tonight, and how was it looking heading into the race?
Mate, I didn't actually get to drive it a great deal before the gremlins really started to attack me, for want of a better word. But the car actually felt fairly good. Luke Georgeson has had a bit more setup input into it, but he was of the same opinion as mine. It was a fairly stable set that we had. So yeah, we were just hoping that we'd be able to ponder on through and get through unscathed.
It's a shame to not see you out there, Brett, and sorry to miss your message earlier as well.
Oh, good mate. It was a late message, so.
Easy to do. We've got Carl Needler and Luke Yeager just exiting the lane here, I think, or coming into the lane. No, they're just exiting. We've got Justin Allen, Brian Mazur coming into the lane now. So we've got the pit stops going through once more. And, well, the race is coming alive once again. And, you know from experience here, Brett, it's always a tricky thing when you're getting out on track here at Atlanta and getting into the lane. It's such chaos that can happen.
Yeah, it's definitely chaotic coming out of the lane, but I actually find that getting into the lane here at Atlanta is very difficult because it's such high banking, and then trying to get off the bank and get the car slowed down. Yeah, I have all sorts of trouble.
You're not the only one, don't worry.
In having said that, I do like Atlanta a bit. Not so much in these cars. Like I heard you say on the call before, they do get a bit squirrely, and yeah, that's probably one of my downfalls, is not being able to look after my tyres enough to be able to stop it going all over the show.
Yeah, it's such a fast track, and it's such a different track to run on. Being it's like restrictor plate racing, but it's also a slightly shorter track. So you use up your tires, you use up the car. It's such a challenging place, and I know a lot of people really are not too much of a fan of New Atlanta. They prefer the old version. But personally, I absolutely love it. I think it's such a different challenge for the year and the season. It just brings the racing alive and just adds that little bit more fun for a slightly different type of track.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, we run on a variety of different tracks, and I mean, I make no secret of the fact that I like the super speedways. A lot of people don't. I do. Unless, of course, I have the misfortune of falling off the back of the pack like I did last week. But it just goes to show you that these things you get just more than a second out of the draft, and your race is pretty much over.
Yeah, we've seen that tonight as we've had. We've only got 5 cars on the lead lap now because of that, and it has really dropped the pack down. Jamie Ann Curvis and Ruben Phelps are going to be hoping to try and close the gap on the DPR cars, who ran away with it earlier on. Dyson and Stevie Dub trying to work together now as well, trying to catch back up to Ryan Jones, but they've lost a huge amount of momentum. So it could be the opportunity for those guys to close the gap back up, but they need to do it fast. They're about 12 seconds off the leaders at the moment, so they really need to get their heads down and get back up there. And well, with only 5 cars on the lead lap now, it could be an interesting one if we get a caution, because we're at that point now where people are going to need to come into the lane for some pit stops as well. So that's going to start to be the case in about 4 or 5 laps, or maybe a couple of extra laps, but it's getting close to that fuel stop time. And that's sort of going to be in an awkward time as well, Brett, because they're just going to be just not going to have enough fuel to get them to the end. I think they're just going to need to make a short splash and dash.
Yeah, well, I think we worked it out, or I worked it out earlier on in the week before I was starting to be affected by the screen issues. It was about 60 laps, 59, 60 laps before you're on that area where you were definitely looking for the pit lane entrance as you were coming around. So yeah, they're definitely not going to be able to get through to the checkered flag on one stop. They're definitely going to have to stop twice.
Yeah, about 19 laps shy, I reckon, by my quick maths. But that could be very wrong. We know maths is not my strong suit. I don't have enough fingers and toes for that kind of thing. So it does get a little bit tricky. Obviously, the team's doing pretty well. Quantum's having a good run with Tom Williams at the moment, up in P8. We did see a big whack for Luke Georgeson, but he's managed to get that 274 back out on track too. So that is some good news for you guys.
Yes, it is, mate. Good to have the bit of experience, and the boys have got Aiden in their ears as well, spotting for them tonight. So Aiden will be doing the maths for all of them, trying to work it out, and probably doing the strategy for tyres and whatnot for one of the boys. Bit hard doing three boys when you're spotting, but it can be done, and no doubt we'll keep plodding along.
All right, well, fingers crossed it goes well for your group and, well, for everybody out there, of course. And we get to see some good running to the end. Ooh. Ryan Jones again, just having a little bit of a slide. That car getting very lateral, and round it goes. He just saves it. Bit of a nudge from behind by Paul Drady. Just unsettled the back of Jonesy's car, and he just saved it in the nick of time there. But that lost him an enormous amount of momentum, and that's going to drop him behind all of these cars that are battling to stay on the lead lap. So that's a crucial little moment. If a caution flag does come out, those guys just getting ahead of Jones and getting themselves back on the lead lap, that could prove to be a lifesaver for them. This is where it's starting to get very racy as well in this group of cars. And, well, we've got cars racing to stay on the lead lap, cars racing for the win, cars racing for their position as well. It is all go at the moment.
It is, and it's good to see that that it looks like all three Quantum cars are in fairly close succession, albeit laps down on each other. But it looks like Luke's in the rear of the three cars there. So I dare say Luke will be taking on more of a mentorship sort of a drive at the moment with the boys, and because both Phil and Tom are still relatively new to the oval scene. So Luke will be doing pretty much what I was doing with the boys last week, and hopefully he can stay out of trouble unlike I did last week.
Bales in the pit.
That's it.
I'm
A
muted.
bit of coaching there. As Matthew Beale coming into the lane to make a stop, and does a much better job of it this time round, getting nicely into the lane and gets that car slowed down. And not a bad time to come in here, as long as we don't get a caution flag, because everybody's going to need to stop again. If you leave it too late, as all Stevie Dub up in the wall, he's just got caught up in turns 3 and 4. And that's just broken up those SRM cars once more. But it's probably worth coming in sort of quite soon just to get those fresher tyres on, just get the car feeling good, and you might find yourself in a lucky position. I think we might have the leader coming in this time round, Mark, so keep an eye on the 11 of Ryan Jones as pulling it into the lane, and so does Andrew Dyson. And we've got cars coming in, locking up those tyres. You're not going to need them again for the rest of the race, so might as well get the most out of them and get yourself into the lane. So this is going to be crucial stopping now, as we've got a lot of different people in lots of different positions as well. So this is going to mix everything up throughout the field. And, well, who can make it work coming out of these green flag stops, I wonder?
And Carl, I think it's important to note that I learnt off one of our more experienced drivers in both Aussie Outlaws and Ann's car, Mr. Ed Foster, that these things don't like braking when they've been running on the go pedal fairly constantly. So coming into pit lane, the more experienced drivers like Daiso and Jonesy, they might be riding the brake a little bit coming down the back straight there, just to warm the brakes up a little bit so they're not cold, making that entrance into pit lane just that little bit easier.
It's a really good point, Brett, and it is a crucial thing you need to do sometimes, just to get those brakes up into the operating temperature, just so they're going to work. Now we have Mark Smith and Paul Drady back up in the lead of this race. They've got to pit though. Remember, they did extend their stints last time round, so extending their stints again here, and just hoping for a late caution to try and get them back into this race now. But obviously the longer they can extend this stint means that the less time they're stationary for that splash and dash as well, so that could come back to help them a little bit later on. But it's all a bit of a mix-up at the moment, as everybody's in different spots. Got Matty Hunter extending his stint. He's up in 5th position at the moment, and he's doing a good job out there, but I imagine he's going to need to come in very soon, as there was a little bit of a moment between, I didn't quite see who that was. I think that was Luke Yeager and Matty Ray there. Just a little bit of side-on-side contact as Matty Hunter just gets it all locked up, but he manages to get it into the lane and gets it slowed down in time. But a bit of a clenching of the teeth moment there for the 48, I imagine, as he just had a big sideways moment, a little bit too much rear bias in that car, and just almost caught him out.
And yeah, Carl. Sorry, go ahead, Mark. Oh, yeah. And just remember that once we go inside that window of 200 to 210 laps, a late caution, that's going to throw the race wide open. Gloves will be taken off, and it'll be showtime then. Yeah,
the aggression will get turned right up. So Mark Smith coming into the lane this time round managed to extend it to 67 laps, 68 laps on that tank. So hopefully a little bit less fuel needed to get to the end. Didn't quite have enough to get there. It's going to be tantalisingly close for Mark Smith to be like, maybe if I really heavily fuel save, I won't need to stop again. But it's going to be very hard to make up 4 laps of fuel here when you're pretty much running flat out all the way around the track, Brett.
He might be lucky to not have a stop and go after that entrance too, Carl. A fair bit of wheel smoke way after the yellow cone.
Let us see how this goes for the 07. Looking like he got away with that one. Not seeing any penalty popping up next to Mark Smith's name, and away he goes. So got away with that one. Just a very, very close moment. And you know, from experience as well as me, Brett, it's always a nerve-wracking moment when you think you've sped in the pit lane, just waiting to see if that black flag's going to appear, waiting to see if you're going to get told off. And when you don't, it is such a relief.
It's definitely a relief coming in, and when you see that you don't have a penalty. But the killer's when you come out of the pit lane and you think you've cleared that blue cone, and you get the black flag for an unsafe pit exit. So it's definitely a double-edged sword as you're coming into and out of the pits, but it's one that you do it right, you make up ground. If you do it wrong, it's going to make you pay.
I was just looking at, I just went back and had a look at Ryan Jones's pit exit too. He was a very lucky boy not to get a unsafe pit exit, because he did run over that triple line there coming out of pit lane before the blue cone exit.
Had some very lucky escapes tonight, Ryan Jones. Just a couple of big moments, just slightly awkward bumps and things like that, and then with that, just escaping a penalty as well, Mark. So it's going very well for Ryan Jones at the moment, because there's been a couple of moments where I thought race over, and he has just managed to save it by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Look, the TPR guys can take a little bit of a breather, just get off the throttle just that fraction. They've got a 13-second gap over third place man Jamie Nankervis, who's coming just down the back straight now, and Jones and that are going into turns 1 and 2. So I don't know if they will, but I've never known DPR guys to lift off. They'll try and stretch that gap out again as much as they can. But the big race at the moment is between the number 8 of Nankervis in the Valve Esports car and Ruben Phelps in the SRM motor vehicle there, the 06. So Ruben had a bit of a lay down to a challenge last week as his teammate and team boss Matty Ray won the 500 and Ruben second. I think the main battle this year is going to be between these two teams in the teams championship. So keep an eye on this battle as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tough battle between those two, I think, and it should bring some great entertainment up here in the booth and to the racing. But there's such a strong field with so many cars out there. Looking forward to this year as the battles will go all the way through, and people will be wanting to get themselves into the top 10 towards the end of the season. I might just hand over to you and Brett Mark just for a couple of moments.
Yep. So we're just checking back through the field. Ruben Phelps there on screen. Brett in fourth. Mark Smith dropped off that lead pack with doing that solo pit stop. He's now down in fifth place. Matthew Raymond in sixth. Paul Drady in seventh in the 29 car. Then it's a teammate of yours, Tom Williams, in the number 5 car. Norman Clark further back in the 09 in 10th, and a great result so far, or great race for Matty Hunter up in the 10th. So that's your top 10 at the moment. As we jump back, and we have Andrew Dyson now out in lead. So we definitely missed that one.
Yeah, a bit interesting there that Daiso got in front of Jonesy, because he was fairly confident or comfortable sitting behind him. So I wonder whether Jonesy's had a slight lose going around a corner, one of the bankings, and struggled to regather it, and Stevie Williams has pushed him back up, or what. But good to see the boys are back line astern again and pushing hard.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, mate, getting back to Matty Hunter, it's definitely a good result. It's always good to see the boys that are generally behind the cameras or behind the microphone calling and producing our races for us, out on track with us and having a ball themselves.
Yeah, it's good. He spent all last year up in the booth. He's taken a backward step a little bit this year in broadcasting side of things. He will be jumping into a couple of NASCAR races, and he'll probably jump in to one or two of our races just to keep his finger in, and more of the upper class race. And we can see here Dyson really leaning on Jonesy, trying to push him. I hate to say it, but I think these guys may come unstuck sometimes through this race. But we've seen that before with DPR. They're definitely not worried about pushing each other, and it's kind of sort of if it happens, it happens, and there's no malice between the teammates here.
No, and Jonesy is a very hard racer. I seem to remember last year for my inaugural NASCAR truck win, watching Jonesy chase me down, and he was always, from memory, he was always the bridesmaid in the races. But it's good to see him having a good run at the front today.
Well, we've lost the stream, so I'll I don't know what happened there.
Oh. Okie dokie.
It's not good.
It's suspended for policy violations, apparently.
Yeah, okay.
Did you have any copyrighted music?
No.
That's not.
What would that be? YouTube? Would you?
Hmm. Oh, it's going again.
We on mute? Oh, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that technical issue there. For some reason, YouTube decided that we had broken some kind of policy issue there. So, not sure what was going on there. So, apologies about that in advance. And, well, for everybody out there, but we are back now. And we are still carrying on here at Atlanta. It's still Ryan Jones in the lead for DPR, with Andrew Dyson just sitting behind him at the moment. They are racing hard with each other, and still got Stevie Dub for company as well. 13 seconds ahead of Jamie Nankervis and Ruben Phelps with 54 laps to go. We're still going to be looking at one more green flag stop here tonight, so still plenty of action coming in this race. And, well, still plenty of stuff to come here tonight. So, well, get ready for this final little run to the flag here. And we will continue on with everything just as it was normal.
And mate, I dare say that we're about to go down to 4 cars on the lead lap, because it looks like Smithy is just about to be lapped for the first time. Which, yes, it's going to be starting to get into that stage of the race where gloves are going to be coming off. We're within 55 laps, so yeah, it's definitely the window now for the final pit stops. And boys will probably stretch it right out until, I think you worked it out, Carl, will be about 19 laps from the end, so about the 240-ish lap mark. So they've got fresh tyres, and as we're talking, there goes Mark Smith a lap down.
And I wonder if he's going to try and link it up here with the DPR boys, because I get the feeling that I reckon Mark's going to try and get to the end of the race without another stop if he can. He managed to extend his stints a little bit. He's been sort of travelling along a bit off the pace the last few laps, and just get the feeling maybe he was running just a little bit off throttle and just trying to do something here. So we could see the 07 coming back in this race, but it's going to be very tricky indeed. Atlanta is not a place that you can really easily fuel save, especially in these cup cars, because it's pretty much the only way you can run here is full throttle all the way around. You don't even get to lift in the corner entries, really.
No, it's definitely a restrictor plate style track, and once the tyres start going out from underneath you, you want to lift, but it's very dicey trying to lift it and keep the pace up.
I think the stream has gone down again.